My name is Carlos Flores from the Albany area of Philadelphia, PA. Poverty, in my own words, I would like to say is, the existence of less fortunate people and people who didn't get their fair shake at the American dream. I think it affects children in a lot of ways. In one way in particular, some kids can't afford to go to college, so they have to stay and work, might get introduced to drug selling. They're not living in a situation where the fair opportunities that most kids that do have money get. For instance, in a way, whereas though, let's say I'm smarter than a kid who actually has money, I probably can't do all the stuff he can do in school because of my situation. In other ways, it affect kids. So a lot of kids get introduced to easy money schemes as far as drugs, stealing, because of things that they want. So, and hence that in hindsight, that all what ends up happening is you get introduced to the wrong things, go to jail, and then once you go to jail, it's just basically you're guaranteeing yourself not all the opportunities that you could have. If poverty is an injustice, I would say fair. I would say fair would have to be people who are already brought into good situations that didn't have to experience any type of poverty setbacks, or didn't have to experience any real struggle with inside their family, or where in their area where they live, or however they grown up, or however they grew up. I think the government, they touch on a lot of things. For instance, like welfare, cheaper health insurance. But I think one thing that helped a lot of kids is schooling. Being able to go to school, being able to go to college for free would be a big time improvement for a lot of kids, because a lot of kids can't afford to go to college, to go to good schools. There are a lot of medical schools that cost a lot of money to go to, a lot of money, and it doesn't matter if I don't have the money to do it. It don't matter how smart I am, I can't do it. Whereas though there might be kids who grew up with a rich family or in a rich neighborhood, and they can afford to do other stuff, and their drive is probably not as, they probably don't drive as good as, but they probably don't work as hard as the kid who came from a bad area, who didn't come up with money. But yeah, schooling is just one big thing. Is definitely a big thing they can do. I think it's just above the whole poverty thing. It's a lot more having to do with just the government as a whole, as opposed to just poverty. They can do a lot, but I mean, ain't nothing really gonna change as long as they keep doing things the same way. They'll help you for a little bit, but it's just enough to get you by the next day probably. But it's not enough to really get you out of your situation. Nobody really sees the low class. You don't really see any of that stuff. I watch 16 and Pregnant, and there's a whole bunch of girls that got money and they're pregnant. I want to see 16 and Pregnant in a really bad neighborhood where they really got to deal with some hard stuff. Harsh realities of growing up in a bad neighborhood and being pregnant in high school or something like that. Man, I see this stuff all the time. In high school, college, where girls who are really smart, they get pregnant and they can't afford to go to school anymore. Maybe they don't have time to go to school anymore. But that's beyond raising awareness. But there's a lot of things that they don't show that goes on that goes on in bad neighborhoods that they do. They'll show us on TV, like showing off and acting a fool and stuff like that, but they won't show us, our struggle, our real struggle. Ask a homeless guy with a sign. That's human dignity right there. He has to ask people for money all the time. His dignity is already tarnished because he has to ask people for money all the time. That's a lot right there. Having to collect welfare, that's embarrassing. Like, nobody wants to go to the welfare office. Nobody wants to show that access card when they go to the supermarket. Everybody hates doing stuff like that. So that affects your dignity right away. So that would make you want to steal or sell drugs, whereas if you get money easily, as opposed to embarrassing yourself. Nobody wants to show that part of their life. Nobody. It should be more responsibility for people who are more fortunate than others. Maybe celebrities or so. Some of them do their part, but a lot of them just do their part just to collect taxes at the end of the year and to make themselves look good. There's a lot of celebrities that do not cut real checks, and they really just they collect all this non-profit organization money, all those taxes that they don't have to file. But I think it's more so on celebrities and people who are role models to other younger children to do. There's more responsibility for them because they have the utilities to do things like that. I think it's a never-ending cycle because no matter what, it's a lot of things that the government issues in the world, whereas they want us to stay where we're at. They don't want to see minorities in office and everything like. They don't want that. They want people who are not supposed to be doing what they're doing to stay what they're doing. They don't want you to be a governor or to be a mayor or to be a president or be a city councilman. They don't want that. They want you. The government wants you to stay in your class. They don't want you exceeding their level of expectation for you. They don't want you exceeding your class. You're supposed to stay in your class. So every once in a while, you see somebody get out of that and they graduate to something greater. And then on the you hear them bashing them on the news where they're a bad person, all that stuff. All these stories get leaked out. It happens all the time. Bill Cosby, prime example. Bill Cosby, all these scandals that you hear about, it's all because they wasn't expected to do that. If that would have been like somebody who was that was rich their whole life, you don't hear these stories. It's until maybe different types of media that that point it out or whatever like that, but you don't hear anything like that. I think a lot of people who are dealing with harsh realities need to. I realize a lot of people in the world make a lot of excuses, and you have to understand that this is the world that you came into. You take the hand that you're dealt, but there's no reason why you can't excel to something better. Like don't be another statistic. Be greater than a statistic. Be something better. Make a difference. Doesn't necessarily have. You don't have to necessarily have to have money to do that neither. Helping out in your own community. You know what I'm saying? Raising kids. Help raise other kids who don't have fathers or mothers around. Big brothers, sisters, they do all types of stuff like that because you can still be happy and not have money. You can still make a difference to other kids. Be a positive influence on somebody else, maybe younger than you or a little less fortunate than you.
Lucas Gonzalez from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Honestly, I don't think poverty's ever going to. Not with these streets, not with these people. There's always going to be a lower class, a mid class, and a higher class. Like, face it, who's going to work at McDonald's? Who's going to run the poppy store? Rich people ain't going to want to do it. They're not going to want to go on the field and pick the corn or anything. It's a sad world out there. We can't all be one. That's basically how it's going to be. All the way to the end of time.